Hi there. If you remembered from my last video, we looked at how we could create our own WordPress caching plugin. Now, in this video, I want to take it a bit farther. I want to write a preloader which will preload the cache for you. This video is very informative because it will dig a little bit into how that WordPress CLI, so the command line interface for WordPress works. We will see how to create our own CLI command, which you can then run in the terminal. And for the rest, it will look a lot like our previous caching implementation, but there will be some differences. But first, let me show you what we're actually going to create. So I have my CLI window open here from my website, and I have my folder here, which is my caching folder, where all my cache files would come. So I have written a certain command. I'm going to show you right now. So WP just starts the WordPress CLI. That's the opening command. Then I have made my own command, so my caching plugin. And the action I want is preload cache. Now look what happens when I enter this command into the console. Just look at this window over here, the white window. You will see the cache fill up automatically. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So processing page, sample page, cached page, processing page, and that for all 6 cache pages. Now if I open cart.html, it's the cached version of that. Let's get to the bread and butter. To start off, we first have to create the new class in our My Caching plugin. I mean, this My Caching plugin class. We will need to require once class My Caching plugin preloader. This file does not exist yet at this moment, so bear with me. I will create it in an instant. Over here, we'll instantiate the preloader. My Caching plugin. Oh, preload. Right now, this will work. Not right now. This will only work if we do this first. Class My Caching plugin preloader.php, of course. Okay, so right now this file will be loaded, but since we're gonna be using WP CLI, I want to do some checks first. So if PHP SAPI name is CLI, this is just returns the type of interface between the web server and PHP. I googled this, so I don't really know what it does, but it makes sure that WP CLI is active. Not WP CLI, but just the CLI. And then we'll also check if class exists WP CLI. Only if that works, we will do preloader. And now we need to do one more thing. So now we do WP CLI. This is the WP CLI class, and we can do @command My Caching plugin, and then we'll pass it this string. Some of you might have noticed this, but I've typed WPI underscore CLI. It's WP CLI, otherwise the command won't work. So if we've written everything like this, we should be able to run this command. So if you do WP and the command, error, there's been a critical error. Let's see. It might be because this class does not exist yet. So let's go into class My Caching plugin preloader.php and create a new class. Class My Caching plugin preloader. Like this. Let's see if it works now. All right. The WP help My Caching plugin command for more information. Now we actually need to create a command in this class. To do that, we'll create a comment. Preload cache is our command. Like this. Let's show how the example worked. So WP My Caching plugin, and our command name will be preload cache with an underscore. Now we'll only have to create it. So public function preload cache. This will accept args and associated args, but we're not going to use them in our example. This would be if we pass something like max pages is 20, then this would be passed to the args. But we're not going to use that in our example. Normally when I run this now, probably on help again, usage, this is how we use it. So it has registered our preload cache method. First and foremost, we need actual pages to cache. This is just a WP query, which we're going to run. So query is new WP query. And in here, we'll open an array. The post type will be page. We're only going to get pages right now. The post size, we're only going to cache published pages. Publish. The order will be ascending. And we will fetch all pages. So posts per page is -1. Right, close semicolon. Now the page will get the pages. So pages is query get posts. Now if we were to var them this, we would normally get all the pages. I'm not sure if it's gonna be pretty in here. Sorry, preload cache, this is the command. As you can see, we are now fetching all our pages. Great. All right, so the next thing we're gonna have to do is run through all these pages and cache them. So we'll do for each pages page. And in here, we will get the page URL. Now, this is where our class is going to differ from our previous caching class. To make everything work, we will need a page URL. In our caching class, we were getting this from the get query var name, the page name in the browser, or if it doesn't exist, we will do index. In our example, this will be a little bit different. So we'll do this page URL. This is a class variable, so we'll have to make that a property in this case, because a class variable is a property. So public page URL, and we will always override this while we are creating the cache. So this page URL is get permalink page ID. So this will take the page in the loop and get the permalink. And then we will get the cached HTML file from this get cache file. We have created this method in get cache, but this will be a bit different in our case. But this method doesn't exist yet, so we are going to create it. So down here, do public function get cache file. I'll explain in an instant why it is different. So in our previous example, get cache file would just take the page name from the query var or index in any case. Now, in the case of CLI, we can't do that because get query var is not instantiated. So we need another way to do this. So what I would do is page path parse URL, this page URL. This is the URL we have bound to the class right here. And then we'll use PHP URL path. This is just PHP constant, which will help us parse the URL. Then we will get the page name from it. So page name will be trim page path, and we'll trim on slash. Then we'll check if we don't have a page name. Then, if empty page name, then we'll do page name will be index. Now we'll have to do the same as here. So file name is page name plus HTML. Let's create some space. And then everything will be the same. So this code is duplicated. So cache dir is same, if not make dir, return cache. So what this is going to do is it's going to loop over and it's going to get the page name out of everything. So let's do a var dump page name. Let's see if it will actually var dump this. See, we have samples page, shop, cart, checkout, my account, index. These are the strings we're going to use. I can also var dump here. Maybe I should return this. Then we know how our cache files would be named. Nice. So these are all the cache files. Okay, so that's working. Nice. All right, so now that we have our get cache file method created, we can now check if cached HTML file, if not file exists, cached HTML file, then we will get, we will get a response, which will be wp remote get this page URL. So now we're going to actually make a request to the URL. This will make a request to a URL. Then we need to fetch the HTML out of it. So HTML is wp remote retrieve body, because we don't need all the rest from the response. So this will only get the HTML out of the response, and it will drop all the other information like the headers, etc. And then we'll do this cache page start and this cache page end. Of course, these methods do not exist yet on this class. All right, so now we have to write the cache page start method. Again, this will differ from the my plugin cache. We have this method here, cache page start. In here, we will check if the page is cached first. If yes, we will read it, because if it's cached, we want you to show you something. Otherwise, we will start output buffering. In our case, so let's start a function, public function cache page start. We don't need to do all this checking if the cache is cached or not, because that is done here. And we also don't need to read the file, because when we're caching the pages, we don't want to actually show them. It's just a caching. This is something that's done by the server, and the server is not interested what your website look like. So in here we can just do ob start, and then I'm gonna paste the line, echo this page has been cached by our awesome caching plugin via the preloader. So this is so we can distinguish between pages that have been cached by the preloader or pages that just have been cached by visitors. All right, so that's the cache page start function. Now we'll need the cache page end function. Public function cache page end. In here, first we'll check if the output buffering is active. So if not, ob get length, then we'll return. Otherwise, we will get the output. So ob get contents, and we'll ob and clean, so the output buffering is closed down properly. Then we'll get the cache file, will be this get cache file. We already have this method over here. And then we'll do file put contents cache file, cache file in our output. So we will get the string of the cached file where we want to place it. So in this case, it will be index.html, but with the whole path before it. And then we'll get the output, the HTML, and we'll print that into the actual file. All right, let's quickly see what it differs from our class we've written in the previous example. So in the previous example, we would still echo the output after we put it in, just so users can see it, while we don't need that anymore in here. That's the difference. All right, so now we need to do one more thing before our cache actually works. So right now, what would happen if I were to run the command? So in here, WP my caching plugin preload cache, we would see the creation of files, but the size is 1 kilobyte, so they don't actually contain information. Why is that? Let me show you. So in here, we retrieved the HTML from the remote retrieve body, but between our page start and end, we are not doing anything with this HTML. So we'll do echo HTML. Let's clear out. Okay, it's already cleared out. And now let's run the function. And now you can see we actually have cached pages. Awesome. All right, so that's basically it. If I were to go to my website now, so caching local, not logged in, so I'm in incognito, and I would go to the page source, you can see that this page has been cached by our awesome caching plugin via the preloader. If I were to visit cart, or to check it, cached via the preloader. Pretty awesome, right? All right, let's talk about some caveats with this implementation. So first of all, as you can see here, I'm fetching all the posts. No, let's talk about pages first. This query only fetches pages, but what if your website has custom post types that have to be cached also, or it has posts that have to be cached? This implementation does not take that into account, so you would need to write a little bit of a better implementation that, based on certain settings, caches different types of content. The second issue is that we are running post per page -0. What if your website has like 8,000 pages or something? This would all be rendered in one PHP session. It might exhaust all of your memory. So a better way to do this is working with max pages. For example, if we were to add this max pages arc, we could put it at 200, and then this would be arcs max pages. Then we would just query it like this. We would chunk the files. We would store a variable in the database where the currently fetched post is at. So the next time the iteration runs, we would just look at the database, see, okay, we went from this post till that post. Now we need to fetch the next 200 posts. And like that, you can chunk the data into smaller parts. Another optimization you could make, you can see it already here. I created in the for each loop this get post pages. This creates, instead of an array, it will do a yield. So it's a generator. So you can see this method is over here. So we'll loop over the posts, but we'll yield them. This is a bit better for memory optimization, since not everything is loaded in the same PHP process. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is how to actually apply this code in your environment. So like this right now, we would have to run the command manually. So we would have to type my caching plugin preload cache. The way you would handle this is in your server configuration, you would go to your cron tab and you would put this command as a cron job. So it would be something like every 15 minutes, we would do wp my caching plugin preload cache. If you have made the performance optimizations like using a generator, putting it in chunks, preloading everything you want, so post pages, custom post types and whatever, then this would just run every 15 minutes. It would check the database to see which next chunk to run, and your PHP process is never going to get liquidated. So that's nice, and that is how you would actually run this code. So you wouldn't have to run it manually constantly. All right, that's it for this tutorial. If you like the content, feel free to like and subscribe, and I will try to make more informative videos like this one. Thank you, bye.